In a recent video, I mentioned that life is lived forward but understood backwards because hindsight truly is 2020. And when it comes to wanting to shop better, sometimes you just don't know that something is not going to work for you until you've tried to make it work for you. And for those of us who have been buying luxury designer goods for years, even decades, as much as we can provide tips and tricks, like how not to make our mistakes, the reality is sometimes you gotta experience these mistakes firsthand. Sometimes you just can't live vicariously through someone else. So today, I want to share with you 5 of the biggest luxury mistakes that I have made and why, looking back, I am very grateful to have made them and lived through them and have come out better on the other side as a result. So let us know down in the comments what mistakes within reason that you would encourage others to go out right now and make. Like go live a little. What's life without a few bumps and bruises? Welcome back to A Briefcase of Luxury, where we love to chat about all things related to life, learning, and luxury. While I have no intentions of quitting my day job as a business professor, I would love to continue to grow this channel, so thank you for being here today. Luxury mistake number 1, go buy a bag on credit, right? We're starting strong with this one. Now I'm using handbags because that's my weakness, but pick your poison. Maybe it's jewelry or watches, but regardless, sometimes it takes feeling financial pain to know what's worth it and what's not. Now, for a very long time, I was too scared to buy anything using credit, let alone something as frivolous as a handbag, because I knew I wouldn't be able to pay it off at the end of the month with my fresh grad, teeny tiny income. But as my salary grew and with the marketing tactics that we are now used to seeing, sometimes you feel like you just don't have a choice but to buy on credit, right? Maybe it's a limited edition release. Maybe it's a rare drop on Fashion File. Maybe you're thinking you can buy it now and resell it later and not lose money, or you predict the value of it will go up over time. So even if you don't have that money set aside right now for that discretionary impulse purchase, you justify it to yourself that it's going to be worth going into debt a little right now in order to get your hands on this item, until one day you wake up and you realize it is so not worth it. Now for me, it was when I found myself over $40,000 in credit card debt. Literally did not know how that happened. I did. It was one unnecessary purchase at a time. A handbag here, another handbag there, but it took me hitting that number for me to be like, oh no, we're not doing that, not ever again. So now I am back to my strict 20-year-old broke me self, where any discretionary purchase has to come from a specific fund, literally labeled my fun money fund. And if there's not enough in there to cover the full amount of whatever it is, then it's not even up for discussion. Now that being said, it's not like I was out there buying exotic mini Kellys with a credit card and nothing more than a dream in my pocket. Or I guess these days it would be Klarna or Affirm, where I can see the danger here, right? Like you can indeed get yourself that mini Kelly of your dreams for just $1,200 a month for 24 months. Ignore the fact that we'll be paying like 15% APR a month. I mean, $1,200 a month just doesn't sound that bad, right? So I can only imagine how once upon a time that would have been so tempting, but no, none of that anymore. Either I have that 25K ready to go right now, or it's a no deal. And speaking of which, luxury mistake number 2, go ahead, go buy that bag for over retail. Pay that premium on the pre-love market for a bag that you so desperately think you need. See if you still feel good about yourself after, or if you feel like you've been played a fool. In my experience, it's always been the latter. Now, I went from never buying pre-loved to pretty much only buying pre-loved. And yes, buying pre-loved is usually a great way to get a deal, but that's not always the case. Like when it comes to Hermes quota bags, the more desirable it is, the higher the premium. Now, I do get that some people argue that paying over retail is worth it if it means not having to play the Hermes game, but just know that when and if you decide that it wasn't all that you hyped it up to be, depending on the premium you paid, you'd be lucky to break even. Like I don't think Fashion File will meet you with that $25,000 buyout quote for the mini Kelly you bought from them, The other example I can think of is the hype around the Murakami collection last year, and how it not only drove up pre-love prices for the new drop, shop, but for the vintage pieces as well. And in my case, I know I overpaid for my vintage Murakami Vavin PM tote because I watched the prices rise for a couple months before I panicked hard enough to pull the trigger for a bag that historically was selling for much lower, like for a period of 15 years prior to 2025. Again, I think it takes voluntarily paying a premium to understand how you want to respond to these situations in the future. Like, what is your reason for paying a premium? Like, it just better be worth it. And most of the time, hype will never be a good enough reason. Now, speaking of Louis Vuitton, you guys loved the jmylady pieces that I shared a while back, and I want to take a moment to share some of the new items that I just got. But if you missed that video, I shared with you my upcycled Louis Vuitton dog pocket organizer, my Hermes dust bag, catch-all pouch coin purse situation, and also my upcycled bride bag that doubles up as both a toiletry bag and a crossbody bag. Now, Yuka is simply a magician when it comes to upcycling designer dust bags and canvas, and everything I've gotten has always just been impeccably well made. Now, this time around, I am so thrilled to share with you 3 more of her small leather goods, all made from upcycled Louis Vuitton canvas. Now, first up, we have got to talk about this key pouch. And you bet I am adding her to my little bookshelf situation right here when she is not in use. So this has an exterior clip, a zip that goes all the way around. And if you open her up, she does have a key leash on the inside. Now, key holders are a must for me because they help to prevent the inside of your bag from being scratched up. And the fact that this looks like a mini book, like, just get out. Next is this upcycled glasses case, which Yuka actually kindly gifted to my husband. Now, I mentioned in that video how jealous he was. And while a lot of these items can lean more feminine, there are some that would be great for the designer-loving men in your life, or at least pieces that you can comfortably share, because I'm not gonna lie, I will be stealing this from him from time to time. But this case has a key ring for you to hook onto your bag or your keys. It opens up with a snap button. And here's what the inside looks like. I love how slim this is, but at the same time, because of the space right here, you can still fit your bulkier sunglasses. And last but not least is this beautiful upcycled pencil case. Guys, this is going to be permanently residing on my desktop. It's just so beautifully crafted, and I love the fact that it does have a black bottom. If not, this is going to show dirt real quick. And I swear, this is just the type of accessory on my desk that is going to help brighten up my workday. But this can also make for a brilliant makeup brush holder on the go. So many uses for this bad boy. Now, I will link these pieces down below, and I still have a 10% discount code if you would like to support Yuka. And she's got so many awesome designs to choose from, so I'm certain you'll find something that will tickle your fancy. Now, moving on to luxury mistake number 3. Buy a trending bag that everyone else seems to love. You know, there's a reason why trends catch on. Like, we are social creatures, and the more we are fed a sentiment, the more we empathize and associate. It's part of what makes us human, our want for community and belonging. And so many times I have seen a new bag where I would feel nothing for it the very first time, but after a while, it's like that slow burn, you know, where everyone is singing its praises. You start to buy into those praises yourself, ignoring the fact that it did nothing for you initially. In fact, you may have even hated it a little. Now, the funny thing here is it can go both ways, and both are problematic. Like, on one hand, the trending bag may be a color or a style that you already have in your collection, so why duplicate it? And on the other hand, it may not be a style or color you already have, in which case there's probably a reason why you've never been drawn to anything similar before. And sure, it may feel good at first, and you may find yourself initially reaching for it, but eventually you'll realize it was the hype. It was the community factor that drew you to it, and not the bag itself. And before you know it, it's lost and forgotten in your closet, and by the time you dig it out to try to sell it, it's lost its value as well, since everyone else has moved on. Luxury mistake number 4, go buy a bag on impulse. This is probably the easiest mistake to make over and over again. Like, it's the mistake we refuse to learn from because it's just such a fun one to make. And why is that? Because statistically, you're bound to get it right at least once or twice. Like, you're bound to end up with a bag that wasn't on your radar, that wasn't on your wish list. It was just an attraction that you couldn't explain. And lo and behold, you've hit the jackpot and found your perfect bag, right? That's statistically bound to happen. But so is the opposite. You go home and you're like, what was I thinking? I mean, I clearly wasn't. It could be for a financial reason. If it's impulsive, maybe you didn't have the funds for it, or it meant eating into funds that you were setting aside for an actual wish list item. And so now you've set yourself further back. Now, in my case, it's often that I go home and I realize I already have something like it that I already love and use, which is typically why there's that attraction. But at the end of the day, I don't need another. I don't need to throw a new competitor into the mix. And if you can realize that quickly enough, like within the return window, then don't be afraid to just reverse that damage. Now, I personally hate returning items, but I've learned to be better about that over the years. Now, last but not least, luxury mistake number 5, go buy a bag on sale. I get that some brands don't go on sale, but there's definitely a handful that do. Now, one of my character flaws is I like to browse 24S in their sales section. And that's my first red flag, that I'm drawn to the idea of getting something at a discount rather than the thing itself. And sure, if you have a wish list item that actually goes on sale, then by all means. But when I'm shopping a sale, I'm usually looking for what I think is the best deal, and rarely am I shopping for something that I actually need or something that's on my wish list. And the problem with that is, sure, you end up with something that you got on sale, but regardless of how much you saved, you still spent money that you didn't need to or didn't plan to. Now, I get that depending on the extent of how often you make these mistakes and to what degree, it can range anywhere from just feeling a little bit embarrassed to a little bit of financial strain to potentially life debilitating consequences, like most often, again, related to finances, right? Like, no amount of regret for buying a handbag whose style just isn't practical for you is going to hurt as much as being in debt to the point where you feel like it's impossible to dig yourself out from the hole that you've gotten yourself into. So again, I'm not telling you to go impulse buy that mini Kelly using a credit card with funds you don't have, because it's what, now just 5% off its original list price. Like, I get that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but you also don't need to be tempting death either. Like, let's not pretend there's not a difference between impulse buying a pre-loved mini Kelly and buying every single new trending Coach bag out there. Like that's financial strain on 2 completely different levels. But still, there's a lot we can learn about ourselves every time we make one of these mistakes and actually learn to do better the next time. So please let us know, what are some of your favorite luxury mistakes? Like, which ones were the ones that you learned the most from? Anyways, thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the video. And if you enjoyed your time here, then please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I can't wait to see you next time.